Hello everyone and welcome into today's very sleepy video. Boy, oh boy, do I have some treats in store for you. I know that you're aware of my affection for jewelry, but my affection for decorative arts and antiques are just the same. You'll want to stay tuned for future videos on the three pieces that you see in the background here, and also what's in this Tiffany pouch. I'll talk about these in just one second, but I wanted to show you why you're here today. Look at the pawn shop scores that I have. Absolutely incredible, multicolored natural sapphire pendant. You know, you normally think of sapphire being blue. Not in Jason's world. 18 karat gold, and that's a very large diamond. So stay tuned for that. And then also another reason why you're here is because I decided to bring this into this video today. Check out this incredible Levion 14 karat gold pendant. Check that out. Blue topaz 14 karat gold. Peridot, absolutely gorgeous. And look, I bought it for Austrian crystal. It was marked $30. And look what I paid for it. $6. I paid $6 for this solid 14 karat gold Levion pendant. Full retail on this one was just over $3,000. It is signed here. I'll bring that back in just a little bit. But can you imagine buying real jewelry at a costume jewelry price? I'll show you how to do that throughout time. I want to show you my 30 years of experience in the business of general line antiques and a specialization in jewelry and decorative arts. This is a Weller Sicard vase. This is absolutely exceptional for a Weller Sicard. I'll be bringing that back to another video on Sicard pottery. Absolutely gorgeous. Definitely Art Nouveau. Circa dating on these is around 1900, and look at that luster. So I want you to be aware that my affection for decorative arts has been amazing. And you're going to say, what's this cute little mouse? This is a fountain pen wipe. So they would actually take their dip pen or their fountain pen and wipe it on the horsehair back. Look at that Austrian bronze from Vienna. Absolutely amazing. Look at the lifelike detail in this. Circa dating on this one, 1900, maybe 1910. Definitely looks like Bergman, but does not bear the Bergman hallmark. But look at that for a mouse, and it looks so real in its gesture, and it's in its lifelike detail with that textured fur. Can you imagine turning metal and horsehair into something that looks so real and so fantastic? Value on those has skyrocketed over the years. And a Roycroft vase, hand-hammered copper Roycroft vase. So definitely stay tuned for such pieces, because I definitely want to start to bring on some more of my decorative art objects. And again, you'll want to stay tuned for what's inside that Tiffany pouch. All right, let's load. Oh, I almost forgot buttons. Someone had said, can you talk to us more about clothing buttons? You bet you I certainly can. These are by Edith and Alan Brooks, and these are hand-painted plastic or casein buttons. They're completely hand-painted in these whimsical designs. And you might say to yourself, what is that card of 42 buttons worth? You won't believe this, but I'm going to tell you right now, between $1,500 and $2,300. And that's no lie. There's 42 buttons on this card, and they're by Edith and Alan Brooks. So I will talk to you about very collectible and very sought-after clothing buttons as well. But if you see these out and about in button jars, please just don't disregard them as painted plastic, because they are miniature works of art by, again, Edith and Alan Brooks. I will help you out identifying those. And then antique paperweight buttons. And look at the way these were carded to look like a tree and completely loaded with antique paperweight glass buttons. That card of, I think there's 42 buttons, at least $400 to $600 now at any of the national button shows, and these are genuinely all antique. Absolutely exceptional for paperweight glass buttons. And some of these are two-part construction, and I'll get into those. They're like pseudo paperweights, I guess you could call these too. So those are technically not paperweight buttons, but pseudo paperweight. And I'll get into all of those specifics in the future. And then for all the lovers of antique clothing buttons, I've got you covered as well. These are normally in shadow box frames, and I just remove them to prevent the glare of the glass. But these are all antique Satsuma, hand-painted buttons, and check out that card. So we'll talk about buttons eventually as well. So stay tuned for that. Let me pause the video, load up the light box of the pawn shop finds, and get right into some more information for all of you. And please go over from my name and hit the subscribe button. YouTube sent out an analytic the other day, and they said 47% of my usual viewers are not subscribed to my channel. So if you can find a way to subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. And please ignore the half manicure today. I just didn't have enough time to sit down and do the nails and also do a video. Anyways, here we go. And before I get into all of these beautiful fine jewelry pieces, I wanted to show you some of the pieces I picked up at the flea market. That incredible 14 karat gold black cat charm. Look at that, from the 1920s, 1930s. It was priced at $2 and the gentleman sold it to me for $1. Are you kidding me? Isn't that just the coolest thing for a black cat in 14 karat gold? And it is on a bracelet clasp that's low carat, that's an antique, but that is definitely cool for a vintage piece. And then check out the bracelets. 3 sterling silver bangle bracelets by Danecraft. I had to have those for less than scrap price. And that's again why I don't clean my silver. Look at that beautiful oxidation and how that pushes that design out to the viewer. I loved those. And then an amethyst bracelet and a fancy colored diamond bracelet that I guess other people would say it's off color, but I consider that a very beautiful kind of charcoal and champagne diamond line bracelet. It was sold just as sterling silver, and I got this for, I think that one was $10, and the amethyst one is exceptional, and I got that one for $20. So out at the flea markets, boy oh boy, some days you can find some of the most amazing treasures if you just stop and look. What I've noticed about some of my advice over the last few years, I have forgotten to tell you to touch everything. Pick these things up and touch them and look close at the details. And you'll know once you look at them, you'll know. You'll see quality and you'll say, oh, I feel Jason with me. So let me set those out of the way. And then a beautiful diamond cross that came in from the pawn shop. Absolutely exceptional. Little pave diamonds in solid gold. I thought that was very sweet. I think this was, no, this was a flea market find. I'm sorry. This was not from the pawn shop, but look at those diamonds. I think I bought it for $150 or $200. I think retail would be closer to around $700 based on the size of the diamonds and the way they're pave set. Absolutely exceptional. So, and I knew that those were diamonds. You could just tell by the scintillation and the color. These are absolutely the largest and finest pearl earrings I've found in a long time. And those are post and friction back, 14 karat solid gold, and look at those monstrous pearls. Great luster, great color. I think retail on something like this would run around $2,400. I think I bought these for I think they were like $225 at the pawn shop. I think that's what they were. It was like $225. They're over 11.5 millimeter. I don't know if you can see, but they're literally 4 times the size of, quote, usual pearl stud earrings. Those were just exceptional for color and luster. Let me clear the box of these few pieces. I talked about these in a live feed not long ago. So if you're not familiar with my live feeds, if you would go over across from the videos, you'll see like videos, short feeds, live, community, and posts. I think that's the order in which it appears on YouTube. I don't watch myself or very many other channels, so I don't know the exact order. But if you go to my live feeds and watch some of the past lives, like if you're disappointed that I don't put out a video every day, please go over to the lives and watch those if you haven't seen them. But I featured these antique diamond studs in one of the live feeds, and I said I'd bring them back on and talk a little bit more in depth. So here we are. This one is 58 points, and this one is 62 points, but this is a matched pair of antique European cut diamond earrings. The proportion of the stones is much more European cut than mine cut, but they are out of round. There is a very large culet. Do you see that black dot? Almost like a belly button down inside that stone. That is called the culet. These are open culets, meaning the point of the stone is cut off as a facet. These are very early diamonds. They probably date from around 1850, maybe 1820, based on their cut and proportion. You can see that crown angle. These are very deep, so you can see the crown angle is far greater than contemporary diamonds, meaning these are very beefy. They're very thick up and down. Their span isn't very wide. The proportions of antique stones was just incredible because they had to perform by low lighting and candlelight. So these perform better. Let me block out some of the light. These perform better in low lighting. Watch the dazzle and scintillation. Let me focus on them as I almost knock over the light box. Can you imagine if I got 10 minutes in and knocked over the light box? Oh, the words I would say. Off camera, of course, but look at those. Look at that deep scintillation and that dispersion of color. And when I say scintillation, I mean the dispersion of color in the spectrum of the light, the way it bounces through those stones. Unlike anything we see today in modern cut stones. Boy, that's the money shot. Let's get right in on those. I never hide anything in my videos. I show you 360 degrees because I own these pieces. I don't pull the information off of eBay or Etsy or Google or online. I show you. I show you what I acquire. And I'd like to explain why I buy some of these pieces. Can you imagine how diamond stud earrings would last that long together as a matched pair and not have been made into something else? These are white, gold, and platinum mountings. They are not original, but they are still antique mountings. And the post goes into the box. I don't want to take them out. It's very difficult to get them back in. But you can see that that is a post that goes straight down into that box. Look at that, though, for absolute great dispersion. That's why I say antique diamonds, even if they're, quote, I put quotes up, poorly faceted or poor proportions, boy, do they still perform. Unlike any stones that we see today. This is luxury. This is importance as history. These stones should never be recut, never be repolished, never be refaceted into the, quote, perfect diamond. I believe that these are perfect by being imperfect, just like myself. I feel, in all my imperfections, I still strive for perfection. And try to do the best I can every day. Look at that beautiful box. That it's just the history of such pieces. In 30 years, I will tell you how important these are. In 30 years, this is my third pair of mated or matched studs that are genuine antique. So let that sink in. 30 years. 30 years, and this is my third pair of antique stud earrings. Very difficult to find. I think retail in something like this, based on carat weight and color, to someone who understands the historical importance, full retail would be around $6,000. That would be full retail. I did see a similar pair in similar carat weight, and they were listed for like $8,000. I don't feel that that's an appropriate price. I feel at the top of the market it would be $6,000, and I feel like a fair price would be around $3,500, maybe $4,000. They are a smaller carat weight, but again, try and find a matched pair of diamond stud earrings that old. Boy, I had to take some time on those, and I appreciate you allowing me to do so. This is a lab-grown diamond. So we went from earth-mined diamonds to lab-grown diamonds, and I've said I won't stop at anything. This is by Brilliant Earth. The same exact ring is on Brilliant Earth right now. The center stone is 3/4 of a carat diamond, and then the surround brings the whole carat weight up to approximately 1.25 carats. It is strawberry or rose gold. Look at that double kind of cinch that cinches that mounting in. And what a beautiful whisper on the side of the ring. The sensitivity to that is why I purchased this, because I usually don't purchase lab-grown diamonds and I usually don't deal in them, but the demand is very, very high. The retail on this ring online was $4,400. So if you go over to Brilliant Earth and pull up the same exact ring, you will see it for $4,400. And I think I paid $350 or $400 at the pawn shop. And I sprung into action and I said, based on design and craft and integrity, that is an absolute yes all day long. That mounting was just architectural. There was a sensitivity there of, even though contemporary, I still said as an artist and as a metalsmith, I understood the craft issue there. And look at the close-up of that stone. What a remarkable thing to have the technology to be able to lab grow diamonds, to create diamonds in a laboratory. Absolutely amazing. And well, let's talk about synthetics and how far back they go. Ancient Roman and ancient Egyptian times, they were synthesizing gemstones. They were making glass look like lapis in ancient Egypt. We could talk about that. And, we look at those pieces now and they're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yet they're, quote, just glass. So I think there's a place for, what do you say, ingenuity of design. Man creating what Mother Nature has created. I think there's a lot that goes into that, especially, in the 20s and 30s, the synthetics were revered slightly more than natural stones because it was scientific. The most wealthy of women were putting a lot of money into synthetic emeralds because they were new. They were the newest creation. They were something that was so sought after because they were so new. There was such limited production. So I can get into that in another video, and I think I need to do a deep dive on that. This is a beautiful over 2-carat blue sapphire. That is a natural blue sapphire. And look at the baguettes down the sides in 14-karat white gold. I think retail on this would be through the roof now. Beautiful style, timeless in both its appearance and its wearability, both as a cocktail ring or an engagement ring. I think I paid $375. I think retail would be several $1,000s now. I think even at a well-advertised auction, it would be $1,500 to $1,800. I think in a retail store it'd be around $5,000 is what I was going to say. So there we go, and absolutely exceptional buy. And then these two, again, another lab diamond. And this was in one of my short feeds, and everyone said, well, that stone's not so great. Boy, it sure didn't look like this when I bought it at the pawn shop. It was very dirty. There is a laser inscription on the side of the diamond. It was not sold as a diamond. It was sold as a CZ. And I paid for this one $325. I think $325. And that is a custom-made 14-karat gold mounting. And wow, the craft. The central diamond is lab created and around a 2-carat or maybe 2.5 carat. It's very sizable, very believable. And notice the little bow tie in the stone, that kind of gray area that runs through that. That is because the proportion is slightly off of the diamond. You don't normally want to see that. Sometimes it will happen in elliptical ovals, and sometimes you will see that in marquee diamonds. So please avoid that. That bow tie is not severe, but sometimes that bow tie can get very severe. So if you see that, stay away from it. Absolutely avoid it, but you can see that the bow tie is not extreme in that one. But if you see that and there's like that gray or black, almost dead space in between, avoid those stones at all cost. They're very difficult to resell. But yeah, that was incredible. And again, retail on that one as a lab-grown diamond now, it's at least $500 a carat. So the central diamond would be about $1,000 by the recording of this video. Those prices are coming down a little bit here and there. And then just be careful because there are a lot of, quote, lab-grown diamonds that are actually not. They're just totally fake, so please be careful on that. And that mounting would be at least another $1,500. So it'd be around $2,000, maybe $2,200 retail. So I beat that by a mile. And then this. I think I paid almost $1,000 for it, but in gold, it's 15.6 grams of solid 18-karat gold on a beautiful 18-karat gold chain. And look at all those fancy colored sapphires. Blue, pink, purple, kind of a fuchsia red, almost paparazzi in this orangey red, the canary color, that is a diamond. Look at that, absolutely exquisite, like a seafoam green blue, champagne, lime green, yellow, pink, and then almost like a champagne purple, and then the traditional blue sapphire. And for a sapphire pendant, all I can say is wow, and look at the size of it. That's why I reached for this one. I was willing to pay up for it. I had to do it just in the price of the metal. I think I could almost scrap this for what I paid for it. I would say retail on something like this to build this again. Oh, good luck trying to find the sapphires, you know. And I would say in 18 karat gold, you're into it for at least 5,000 to 6,000, if not 7,000, and up in a custom-made piece like that. Let me fill the box again and we'll be right back. Well, here's the star of the show. So before I forgot to do the close-up, there it is. But before I get there, you know how I am. Check out this Victorian pin that I picked up. Absolutely awesome. And by the way, if I don't sound 100%, boy, my allergies were acting up yesterday. And I was all stuffed up and I was all sinusy. So I had to wait until today, until I sounded a little bit better, to come on and do a video. This Victorian brooch, this will come to a Victorian video very soon. So, but I had to show that. Circa dating on this, 1860, could be 1850, could be 1870. So we always say circa dating 1860. Unbelievable Victorian brooch. Absolutely loved the sensitivity and construction on that. A Levian aquamarine and diamond ring. And this is going to come over to a Bully Run sale on YouTube. So if you ask where I sell most of my items, let me grab, well, I thought I had it out on my desk. I do. Look, this is where we sell on YouTube. So in case you didn't know, go on over to Bully Run, all one word, Bully Run, all one word, and coffee, and go over and subscribe to that channel, because that's where we have our live sales, normally on Tuesday nights, and we do a preview, and we normally air those Sunday nights by about 6 o'clock on Sunday nights on Bully Run. So come on over and check it out. This is a very large aquamarine, and again, it's set east-west instead of north-south. This is by Levian. There is the mark, Levian. And guaranteed, absolutely wonderful, 14 karat gold marked on the inside. There you go. And check out the way that those stones are pave set. All those little diamonds pave set, and that aquamarine is such a great color. Look at that on the hand. Again, so I will reach over contemporary a lot of times and not buy it. But when I see this end result, the quality of the stones, the quality of the craftsmanship, and the sensitivity to the way that this is produced, I have to sometimes stop myself and say, it's okay to buy contemporary when it looks that good. And it's also, you're also able to buy contemporary when it's $6 instead of thousands. And this is a Madonna and enamel pendant with marcasites. This one is clearly vintage, almost antique. Really love the, again, the craft and the design, and I loved her face. Please leave down in the comments section which piece you like the best in this video. I really love to see and engage with my viewers and my YouTube family, so please leave that information down below. And any questions you have, I try to answer most questions, but boy, I've been super busy over the last few weeks. And let me show you the receipt again. So if you want to see this that I found out in, the wild, please go over to my short feeds. So go over from the top of my channel and go over to the short feeds and scroll down and you'll see this. I bought this for $6 and it was priced as Austrian crystal for $30. I got 80% off because the dealer was running an 80% off sale, and I got it for $6. I also bought another ring for 80% off. I bought 4 rings at 80% off. So we'll cover these two in another video, but check that out. This was sold as Austrian crystal for $6. And you might say to yourself, why is it so important? Well, because it's not Austrian crystal. It's actually Levian. And it is solid 14 karat yellow gold. Once I saw this mark on the back, I said to myself, I think that's Levian. And it is signed right here, very small. Let me see if we can get in on that mark. Right there, it's signed 14K, and the word Levion right there. I hope you can see that. That's as close as I can get. And look at the construction for that as I fog that stone up. Look at that blue topaz. And the design is just incredible. It is on its original silk cord. Levion sold them on these silk cords. And can you imagine the craft and the design that it would take, the amount of labor it would take to create all those stones? And the way it would be to set all these. So sold as Austrian crystal for $6. I think full tilt retail was almost $3,000 or just over $3,000. I've yet to find the exact one online. And I would say resale now, because of the size of it being Levion and retired, at least $1,500, if not closer to $1,800. And that would be a bargain. That would be a steal for this piece. It would be an absolute steal. And not because I own it do I say that, but if you do comps on these pieces in this size and quality, you'll see the same end results. Let me pause there, reload the box, and we'll call it for the day. And before we get into these last 4 pieces of gold, oh golly, stay tuned for that knockout, and this enameled watch, I wanted to show you a Moissanite that I bought. Look at this incredible Moissanite. The diamond look of this is incredible. I think it's almost a 5-carat Moissanite in solid sterling silver. I had run out of Moissanite. Let me wipe this one off real quick. It has a huge fingerprint on it. There we go. Now that says, hello, I'm a Moissanite and I'm a giant one. Look at that one. It's like a dinner plate. It's incredible. And I got all the paperwork on it as well. So please always make sure that your Moissanites are genuine and certified. Please do so. Please don't fall prey to just a fancy CZ or a crystal. Please make sure you're getting what you pay for. Look at that sterling silver mounting, like an ocean wave reaching up to hold that gigantic stone. So yeah, look at that. I'm always amazed by Moissanite, all by its own. You know, next to a diamond, I've said to myself, why did I spend all the money on that little tiny diamond? You know, but look at how blue that stays as well. What an incredible, incredible ring. Loved everything about it. Loved the stone, loved the design, and I said, absolutely yes. And someone had called me and said, hey, I got a Moissanite in. Would you like first dibs on it? And I said, absolutely. Let me put that back in its bag so I don't lose the paperwork. Let me stick it back in its box. And thanks again for joining in today. I hope the video made sense. I wanted to cover other things, like more values and more like why I buy certain things, but I just couldn't. I wanted to show you the difference between tanzanite and sapphire really quick, and also black spinel and black tourmaline. These are black spinel, a natural stone, and these are black tourmaline crystals. So there's a little bit of a difference for you, both in form, and, you know, just letting you know. So there's the difference of black spinel and black tourmaline. This is sterling silver and amethyst, very brutalist in its approach, and a fantastic ring. Very, very cool artisan done. Had to have that. I said to myself, boy, the sensitivity and craft was very apparent on that one. And then this one, black spinel and sterling silver, more contemporary. Definitely more contemporary, but look at that nod to Art Nouveau or Art Deco with that foliate kind of asymmetry, that drippiness of this, and the dazzle of those stones. I said this would go with any outfit, and I think it's for the person who's bold and delicate, because the form is delicate, but the size is bold. There's something there that I think it just is a universal, let's say that much. And in resale, sometimes you need the staple pieces. Before we look at this one, oh my gosh, we'll take a look at this one. I thought the design was just wonderful. And look why I bought these two. It's two totally separate people, but the same sensitivity of design. This one is 10 karat gold and kind of this open cable link made to look like it's a cable chain. And those are beautiful single cut diamonds for approximately a 1/4 carat in total diamond weight. And I loved that ring. That was affordable. I think this was $165 or $175. And now to have that created, you're $600 to $800 all day long, if not more, depending on, what coast you're on. And I said that's why in Ohio it's so much easier for us to buy here, because our prices are so reasonable. We don't have that drastic markup. There's this undercarriage here of this bridge. So whenever you have, in quote, invisibly set stones like this, that are, quote, invisibly set or, quote, tension set, please make sure you have that undercarriage and that bridge that holds those together. Make sure that that's present. A lot of times, if it's not, they actually glue the stones in, and that's a real problem. Do not ever put this style of ring in an ultrasonic cleaner. Don't do it. You will shake these stones loose, and when you lose one, you're going to lose another. When you lose that one, you're going to lose another. You're going to have so many stones out and a mess on your hands. So please do not use ultrasonic cleaners. And these are all diamonds. Blue diamonds, yellow diamond, white diamonds. I believe that all the colored diamonds are irradiated or color treated. I'll do a video on irradiated diamonds and color treated diamonds. Absolutely. White gold, and look how white gold is not always white when the rhodium wears off. So if you see that pale yellow, please don't think that it's just a plated piece of costume, even if it's marked 14 karat. That is that 14 karat white gold is pale yellow and then rhodiumed with rhodium, so that then turns the metal completely white, and that will wear off over time. Look at the way that that is constructed. That was an absolute yes. Don't want to say much more about it besides what an incredible colored diamond ring. Then we're going to stop the video on this. What in time for, watch. We'll stop the video. So it's time to stop the video. Look at the enameling on this open-faced watch. This open-faced pocket watch, and it's a pendant watch. Look at that. Absolutely exquisite enamel work, and just remarkable with those little gold pallions or foil that's underneath. And look at that, the way that looks like ocean waves under that electric blue enamel. Very small scale to have a running watch. And isn't that wonderful that they mounted the watch in the right direction? So when you're wearing this as a pendant, you bring it up to yourself and you can see what time it is. If they mounted it this way, you wouldn't be able to read what time it was. But the wearer, the person that's wearing this as a pendant, brings this right up to them. And then they're like, oh, look what time it is. Amazing Swiss movement on this. Incredible piece. And I think that was at the pawn. I think I paid $30, I think retail in this good a condition is several $100s. I would say between $200 and $300 full tilt retail. Sterling silver construction on that as well. This one is 14 karat yellow gold. This one's 14 karat white gold. This is in fact a natural sapphire and blue sapphire and then diamond halo. And this one on the left is a tanzanite. Now, I'm going to get into other videos on how to identify colored stones, especially when you get into fancy colored tourmaline, fancy colored garnet, fancy colored sapphire. It gets very difficult to be able to tell the difference. But that is sapphire on the right, that is tanzanite on the left. Sometimes tanzanite will lean much more of a purple blue. Sapphire normally stays very blue. And again, sapphire comes in so many different colors. I mean, tons of different colors. I've seen sapphires in, 30 different colors at this point in my life. And tanzanite almost always is that color, unless it's not color treated. And then that's a totally different color. It's like a greenish brown sometimes before it's color treated. We'll take a look at this one up close. Check out that tanzanite. Look how it does lean purple. It does have that purple overtone. Brilliant cut. Fantasy cut with that checkerboard surface across the top. 14 karat gold and diamond mounting. Just incredible for a custom made piece on a 14 karat gold chain. And as you can tell, my mouth is tired. And my brain is tired, so it's time to call it. But that is sapphire 14 karat gold. And I hope you've enjoyed this video of like what I pick up at the pawn shops. And I really wanted to cover, don't be afraid of pawn shops. They're there to help people in need. And I talked to one of my area pawn shops and I said, you know, pawn shops get such a bad rap and I'm not sure why. And I think the way he explained it was truthful. It has it has like a bad prejudice against it, that people, you know, it's like a seedy place or it's dirty or it's, you know, it's almost the polar opposite at some times. When people find themselves in hard times, which we all have in life, they take items to the pawn shop so they're able to pay their bills. And then through hard work, over 70%, in this one pawn shop, over 70% of people come back to reclaim their pawns because of hard work and because of effort. And you know, when they bring their items in, then they say, you know, I'll be back. And they work hard for the money to then go back and be able to get their items. And pawn shops are there to help people when they're desperate and when there are hard times. And like I said, we've all been through that. No one's immune to that. Even the most wealthy of people are not immune to that. So I've always found comfort in buying at pawn shops because it does help people. It does help people in need. It's not preying upon people or some sort of vulture mentality. It's actually a place of kindness. And most of them are a place of kindness. Of course, you know, there are always some people that bring in stolen items, but pawn shops here in Ohio vet the items very well. They hold them for, I think it's 90 days. I forget the specifics. But you know what I will do? I'll do a transparent video on pawn shops. Now is not the time because I'm not going to find the right words. So thank you so much for joining in. I hope you've enjoyed all these beautiful treasures because I've enjoyed sharing them with you. I hope you find some sort of enlightenment with my channel. I hope you I hope you find some sort of community, some sort of family, some sort of friendship. I hope you find laughter and enjoyment on my channel, and I hope you've learned along the way. Again, I want to bring on decorative arts, clothing buttons, sculptures, glassware, art, pottery, you name it, in my antique collections. If there's a specific you'd like to see, please leave it in the comment section below. And you know how I end this because it's 100% true. I want you to feel it. I love you because I do.